Hello, this box says Thunder Raider on it. And if that name sounds very familiar to you, it shouldn't come as a surprise. We last got a LEGO Ninjago Thunder Raider set in 2014, which wasn't that long ago. Well, lo and behold, here we're getting another one for 2020, thanks to the Legacy line. Let's take a closer look. Like the vintage original, this set has two main builds. This is the Thunder Raider over here for J, a land-based half-track vehicle. And then this is Cole's Earth Mech. We also get 3 good guy figures and 2 bad guy figures, one of them very, very bad. The Thunder Raider is one of many half-track vehicles that LEGO designed for their original IP, their original creations, original series. And it's worthy of note that this is a fair bit larger than the original was. This is using the largest of track segments that LEGO makes today, whereas the previous one used the next smaller ones, which are something like 2/3 that width, I believe. Sorry, I don't have the original model here to show you side by side, but they definitely scaled this up a fair amount, which allows it to have not only more visual presence, but also more detail. Now, a lot of the details through the center section here are accomplished with the help of stickers. I mean, there's a high concentration of stickers right within here, but this does have a fair number of small pieces as well for details. I do want to point out that these treads have the little black rubber pads built into them. There's an entire row of them on each of the tracks, and those are essential to allow them to actually move, to actually roll if you're on a hard surface or a surface that doesn't have a lot of traction itself. Without those, you would just see this happening, and it would not be fun. That's never enjoyable to see treads just sliding. And by putting those pads on there, allows them to not use a cheater wheel like they've had to do on some other vehicles that they've made in the recent past, where there's a wheel, an actual rubber tire underneath that's geared in. So you don't have any of that. This is just very straightforward, and it just works the way that you would expect it to do. This does have one major action feature to it. You pull from the back, right back here, and you pull back on basically the entire cockpit area. And this is just like with the original. You pull back, but you can pull back all the way, and it'll stay in place. It puts it into an attack mode where these sides open up, side fins, and they expose what are supposed to be some missile racks, or rocket racks. There's more additional detail in there. The builds are nice for the little things. Got some interesting part usage for the popsicle pieces, the frozen popsicle pieces in the transparent blue. Just add something a little different. And this is a nice looking little area here showing some of the, power conduit or reactor core or something like that. Something that's related to power in general. Another sticker here, that one's actually, I think, really good, really useful to bring visual interest here. And again, with small pieces, you can see some ingot pieces used down underneath. And just generally, this is done pretty respectably well. There is a clip inside of this that makes it want to stay, so there we go. Puts that back to its original form. Then you have to fold these in manually to put it back. There's one thing that I don't like about the design of this vehicle, and it's this section back here. It's just so plain and so blocky, especially with this axle connector section. It's so blocky, so brick-based compared to everything else on the entire set. It just doesn't look like it really goes. The tires in the back are really hard plastic. They have a little bit of texture to them though, so even on a smooth hard surface they still do roll, so that's all I can ask for. And then they've got these covers that were introduced last year with a little extra detail for the hubs, a little extra detail for the hubs here as well. And finally, taking a look at the interior, I can just open up the canopy piece here, and this has space for a single figure to sit in there leaning back. And there are a couple of pads in there that are kind of looking like they represent some leather pads, just done with the brown ingot pieces, and a couple of sticks to represent controls. No printed console or sticker even, but I think that's perfectly fine. And again, just looking a little closer, you see there are a lot of built up small details around this in many places. These things are weird. They're supposed to be like cannons, but they just kind of flop around. There's absolutely no friction in there, so that's an odd choice. Cole's Earth Mech, like I said, is scaled up to match with the Thunder Raider. And just to put that into perspective, here's a minifig. Yeah, it's quite significantly different from the original design, and it's significantly larger than I honestly expected it to be. I thought this was going to be, just from looking at it overall without paying attention too much to the stud spacing and everything, it looked like it was going to be one of those small miniature mechs that they do these days, but it's actually pretty substantial. While not using too many pieces, I mean, you look at it around the back, you see it's somewhat skeletal, but not too much so. And it's very, very stable, has not the maximum amount of possible articulation, but it does have knees. That's all you need, and those knees do work pretty dang well. And it has ball joints for the upper legs as well at the hips, so this can rotate around. There's a little extra bit of axle that sticks out right there, maybe a little bit more than is needed, but it's better to have too much than too little. You don't want these ball end pieces to fall off, and this also allows the maximum range of motion there. If you put a bushing on there, it would limit it a little bit. So the legs are able to splay, they're able to move around a bit, and I can even get this very easily to balance on just one foot, no problem there whatsoever. So you can get it into, what looks like a running pose. That's pretty good, pretty simple. There's enough friction here to be sure. In these joints, I don't even have to have both feet fully on the ground. Now I guess they're ankles, you could call them, just down at the feet. You have a ball joint in there, but it's limited in its range of motion. So this mostly goes side to side. It goes forward and back just a little bit, but that's the limit of it. Side to side is much better, but it works. It does work. And then for the upper extremities, you've got a ball joint for the shoulder right up in there. So this can move around up and down a bit. The pauldrons are able to move out of the way, so if you need to reach up, you can. And then for elbows, this one has just single axis ratcheted joints, which make enough sense. You can get them out to straight. You can get the full 90 degrees out of them, and you can also go farther because you can go back farther than you should be able to. So that works out okay. This doesn't really have hands, things to grab with. You could change the orientation of things a little bit if you wanted to attach the elbow part there to the back of this ball joint or this ball socket piece to make things a little bit different in just the range that you can get. But ultimately, this is intended to be just a cannon hand or a cannon arm. So it has one fake shooter there. It's just a Baraki eye in orange. I don't think I've seen a lot of those in orange. I guess they've been used for construction vehicles, but that looks pretty good and looks very much like the tip of the spring-loaded shooter bolt that's right next to it. You can see the end of the bolt right here. Makes it very easy to access that. And that's pretty much it for this one. I mean, the cockpit is just a straightforward stand-up thing. So where did Cole go? Here he is. You just push him onto the back there, and he just sticks in place, which is really all that you need there. And I think I can angle this down. Yeah, just to get a little bit tighter to him. Very easy to put him in. Head sticks out, so that's that's visible and everything, but it kind of goes with the look. His face is the face of the mech as it walks around, and this again uses the brown kind of chocolate bar or ingot pieces to represent some cushioning back there. You want your figures to be comfortable. And this has a couple of weird things on it. It's got these protrusions with these axles back here, and then it also has the ability to clip the feet together very conveniently and fairly securely. What's that all about? Well, like with the original set, these two are intended to be put together. They're intended to combine in a way, in a convenient way. So with those feet together, what I'm going to do is place this onto the back, and I'm just going to use these two axles, which are basically going to fall into and hook into a couple of Technic-sized holes or stud-sized, anti-stud-sized holes right there on the modified 2x2 plates. And I just need to fold the legs up. Now, I've tried this before, and I personally have found that it's actually better to not clip the feet together, but I'm going to try to do it now with the feet clipped, and I kind of need to splay the upper legs apart to get this to really, really fold in there nice and neatly. I think from what I saw in the package, they actually don't fold they actually don't clip those legs together either. Get this out of the way temporarily just to line it up. There we go. That fell down in there. And turn these around. Turn the arms around. That works just right. Bring the pauldrons back down. Make sure everything has good clearance. I think that's about it right there. So the gold accents really tie the two together. And of course, black generally goes with just about anything, but this is the general idea here. You know, it just makes it look more bulky. It has these additional weapons now, which you can still fire. You know, they're the spring-loaded shooters, so they'll still fire off their bolts, and it just becomes part of the arsenal of the main combined vehicle then. And you can still have Cole on the back if you want. He's just going to be facing towards the rear. I'm assuming you probably have some sort of visor or console that would come up that would give him a view of the front, or he could provide defense for the, defensive coverage for the rear. You still have your figure in the cockpit there. And looking at this from around the back, you can see how the feet did need to be kind of rotated away from each other. So on the box, they just have those separated out, and it just looks maybe a little, yeah, see, it kind of fits down in there a little bit better. Maybe if I get this down, it might be a spot where I can find it. Yeah, it kind of works. I like to leave a little bit more clearance under there, though. This is very close to the ground. So when you bring them apart, you're able to get it farther off the ground. And there's slightly different options for that, but that's basically it. So that's the combination of the two. Looking closely at the figures, here are Jay and Cole with their legacy gear. The weapon, obviously, for Jay is the pair of nunchucks. He's just holding on with one hand right now. Cole has a pretty nicely built up hammer, like a power energy hammer. And then, I'm ashamed, the other thing that he's holding, the hot dog with the spoiled Frank in it. I don't remember exactly what that comes from. I don't remember what that reference was. Yeah, he's always eating. And also, he was a ghost at one point, and ghost flesh is sometimes referred to by sand green usage in Lego. But is that what it is, or was there something else? If you know 100% for certain the canonical, precise reference that comes from, the green hot dog, please check the comment section to see if 10 people haven't already posted it. If nobody has posted it, and it's more than like a couple minutes after the posting of the video, please do the honors, because like I said, I'm ashamed. I just don't remember exactly where that comes from. Or am I right? Is it just a combination of those two concepts? Then underneath, here are their smiling faces, their most basic ones. And here are their angry or ready to fight faces. And then here are Legacy Lloyd and a Nindroid. That wasn't supposed to rhyme. All right. Slightly built up weapon for the Nindroid. Nice to see. Just a basic katana for Lloyd. Yeah, I think both of these look pretty good for what they're intended to be. Keep in mind that this is Legacy, and it's about reimagining the past. It's not about directly, exactly, precisely duplicating the past. These are not supposed to be re-releases of the originals. They are updated, and that is intentional. That's part of the plan. That's how they're supposed to be, whether everyone likes it or not. And whether anyone likes the Legacy Overlord, I do. I like it a lot. It's that pure spectral form of him. And it has a great color scheme. It's got that spectral base for the legs, which is marbled between trans purple and black. The printing on the back of that lower torso is a little bit off. I mean, it just doesn't match at all. I think the purple color should have been significantly darker if they have such an ink available. But the prints on the front, not so bad. Not so bad. I think the lower torso print on the front works a little bit better here just because of the hands being close. But ideally, that should have been darker as well. But that upper torso print is fantastic. And the face as well is pretty cool with, again, transparent purple. Hey, get off there. Get off. There we go. Transparent purple used for the head itself. So it lets some light through and has a little bit of a gem-like quality to it. They also print some purple on top of that to give it some extra depth and detail. And I like it. The set does leave a fair number of pieces left over, including the intentional inclusion of a spare bolt for the spring-loaded shooters. And also notice, of course, the extra rare sand green colored hot dog frank or sausage piece. And here's a quick look at the spent sticker sheet, just so you can get an idea of how many stickers were actually used to build this set up. Now for the big test, value. Is it there? Does this set have it? Well, this is a 576 piece set for $50 US suggested retail price. I'm going to assume that it's going to stay around that price. Maybe you can get it on sale. But at $50, the price to part ratio is good, as it was on the cheaper but smaller, less complex 2014 version of this. And looking at the amount of stuff that is here before me, just the volume of stuff, I think it's decent. I couldn't ask for this to be much cheaper than it is. I mean, if it was $40, that would feel like a kind of a steal, honestly, especially with the number of pieces. I mean, the level of detail that's in there is pretty good. It's better than it needs to be, honestly. Yeah, so 45 is about the lowest that I could reasonably ask this to go. I mean, it does come with a nice selection of figures as well. And again, just the amount of stuff that's here, the size of everything, feels like a good $50 worth of Lego stuff. Given that it does have details, it does have small pieces, and it does work pretty well. You know, with the tracks working and everything, this hooks up. The mech has good articulation. Could have been a little bit better, but it's pretty good, you know? So overall, I think this is worthy. It's better than the original. I think there's no question there. It's better than the original. Can't ask for more than that for something that's intended to be essentially just almost a re-release of the original, just updated to modern standards. And it's not even that long ago that the original came out, so this shouldn't be too much better than the original, but it is, with the help of pieces and better techniques and such. So yeah, I'm happy with this thing. I think that Lego has done a good thing. I think they've done good things with most of their legacy sets. Maybe not every single one of them, but most of them have been better than the originals, even though the exact compositions of the sets haven't been identical. You know, this one is very, very close to the original and having two main builds that are representing the same things as the original. Not all the legacy sets have done that, and that has caused some confusion. You know, there have been people who said, well, the original had such and such, and this one doesn't. Yeah, but the new one costs less, or the new one has something else that the original didn't, you know. I think you have to be reasonable there and not expect these things to just be re-releases. If you want to re-release, just go on Bricklink, get the original or find the parts, or if you already have it and that's why you're such a fan of it, then just put it back together, the one that you already have, honestly. So yeah, I think overall, can't really ask for more. If you want to see the build of all this together, it's one set. So one pure build, one speed build for the whole thing, and those are up. So I will move on to the next thing and talk to you again soon. Thank you very much for watching.